This is a true story of my family's journey to America. Who am I? My name is Mary. I was named after a compassionate sponsor that helped my family immigrate to the United States. I am the daughter of Vietnamese refugees known as boat people. I was born 3 months after my family arrived to the United States as refugees of the Vietnam War. Many refugees failed to survive the passage, facing danger and hardships, pirates, overcrowded boats, and storms. Through courage and determination, my family survived. This is their story. My aunt was living with her family in Can Thơ, Vietnam, and working for the United States State Department. She was given the opportunity to flee the country, but she had to travel alone, leaving her entire family behind. My grandparents urged her to take the opportunity. On April 30th, 1975, the day that marks the end of the Vietnam War, due to the fall of Saigon, my aunt waited on top of the U.S. Embassy to board a helicopter to flee the country. She then took a boat with over 3,000 other asylum seekers to be transported to a refugee camp. The boat was overcrowded and illness spread rapidly. She survived for 10 days at sea with only the clothes on her back and very little to eat. She arrived at Wake Island Refugee Camp. After 1.5 months, she flew to the United States in July of 1975, settling in Southern California. She was on her own in a new country and had to work 3 jobs to support herself. After about a year, she moved to Northern Virginia to start her career and settle down. She was afraid to contact her family in Vietnam after hearing horror stories of others receiving severed hands and limbs of family members as blackmail from the communist government if they knew they had family in the U.S. To get around this, she mailed letters to her friend in Paris, who then sent her letters on to Vietnam for her. My grandfather was thrilled to receive her letters and hear she was still alive. After months of anticipation, she received a response letter from my grandfather. Everyone in the family was alive and well. Disheartened by the capture of the country they once knew and loved, they felt they had no choice but to flee the country. In 1979, it cost 8 bars of gold per person to board a ship to leave. My family was 17 people large and did not have enough money for all of them to flee the country. My grandfather, being a skilled civil engineer who built boats and bridges for a living, decided it was imperative for them to build their own boat if they wanted to stay together. Fearful the communists would not allow him to build the boat, he told them it was for fishing. He could not build the boat himself in fear of suspicion, but he drew plans for my dad and uncles, who had no prior experience building, to build the boat for our family. After selling nearly all their possessions to buy materials and months of building, the boat was accomplished. In March of 1979, my great-grandmother, who was 76 years old, my grandmother, who was 52, and my parents, who were 32, my brother, 5 years old, and my sister, only 2 years old, my 4 uncles, 2 aunts, and 2 cousins all boarded the boat and headed out into the South China Sea on a journey they would never forget. My grandfather stayed behind in case they did not make it and had to return. One of my aunts stayed behind with my cousin who was severely ill also. They endured 5 days at sea. They were faced with heavy storms and starvation. On the fourth day at sea, Thai pirates raided their boat and stole all their money, jewelry, and belongings. Finally, they arrived at a refugee camp in Malaysia, only to be denied entry because the camp, which was only equipped to hold 4,500 people, had over 40,000 refugees there already. The Malaysian government took their small boat and put them on a larger boat to tow them to the next refugee camp. In the middle of the night, the rope that was towing them was cut, leaving them stranded in the middle of the ocean. To their luck, a fisherman found them and showed them the way to an island in Indonesia. The island was overcrowded with thousands of other refugees who had landed there before them. They soon came to find that this was not a refugee camp. It was an uninhabited, remote area of Indonesia. They had to live off the island, making crude shelters and fishing and scavenging for food. After 3 months of living on the island, U.S. humanitarian organizations started to arrive, providing food, water, medical care, and sponsorship opportunities. My family remained on the island for another 8 months, trying to coordinate sponsorship and contact my aunt in the U.S. My father wrote countless letters to my aunt in America. He gave them to missionaries traveling from the U.S. Amazingly, one letter arrived to my aunt without a single stamp on it. She was overjoyed to hear that everyone was alive and learn where they were located. Feeling determined to rescue my family, she contacted the Red Cross for help. The Red Cross coordinated rescue efforts to transport my family from the isolated Indonesian island, which was 6 hours by boat, to a refugee camp in Singapore. Meanwhile, as unbelievable as this may seem, my mom was actually 7 months pregnant with me, and one of my aunts was 8 months pregnant with my cousin. In the U.S., my aunt was frantically trying to find an agency or church who could sponsor our entire family. Sponsoring 15 people together was unheard of. She was denied repeatedly because the family was just too large. In an effort to keep our family together, she coordinated sponsorships from multiple Baptist churches in Virginia. As a result of her hard work and numerous sponsors, my family arrived to the United States in March of 1980. My cousin Richard was born a few weeks after they arrived. I was born 3 months after they arrived. On January 16, 1981, my grandfather, aunt, and cousin, who remained in Vietnam, arrived to the U.S. and our family was reunited. Today I am 36 years old. My family has grown to be 48 people large. I made this documentary as a way to help my own 2 children understand their rich family history. My hope is that they understand the sacrifices that were made and hardships that were endured, so that they may have the freedom and opportunity in the country that we cherish, the United States of America. Thank you to our many sponsors and all the humanitarian efforts along our journey. We are forever grateful for your compassion and generosity. I am deeply humbled to be part of my family and the voice behind their story. I hope this story connects with you and helps you to realize that your circumstances do not define you. To all the generations to come, may you always rise above adversities and be the good.
Open up all the windows now. The summer's not coming. Okay. That one's already open though. Let me see if I can. No, that one's already open. That one's already open. Okay. Close that door. Thunderstorm is coming. Oh, no. Thunderstorm is coming in 5,